Liberty's been cut short, but our schedule's changed. We have 2 hours to get stowed for sea and set the maneuvering watch.
The United States submarine is disguised as a German sub and goes to sea in that scene from U-571. One of 5 new movies we'll review this week. I'm Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Richard Roper, syndicated columnist of the Chicago Sun-Times.
The mission in U-571 is a crucial one. A German sub is crippled and drifting in the North Atlantic, and the American submarine is ordered to impersonate a German sub, pretend to be a rescue mission, capture the other craft with a boarding party, and bring home the invaluable Enigma machine, which is the key to the German codes that are crippling Allied shipping in the North Atlantic. Matthew McConaughey plays the ambitious lieutenant who unexpectedly finds himself in command of the mission and getting some advice from the chief, played by Harvey Keitel.
This is the Navy, where a commanding officer is a mighty and terrible thing. A man to be feared and respected, all-knowing, all-powerful. Don't you dare say what you said to the boys back there again. I don't know. Those 3 words will kill a crew.
There does seem to be a leadership vacuum on board as an unseasoned sailor gets scared stiff and starts screaming orders to contradict the skippers.
It's attack. It's coming right at us. Do something.
Oh, shut up. Rabbit, ignore him.
Do something. It's going to strafe us, Robin. It's coming right at us. It's lined up. Do something.
Acknowledge me, Stevie Parker.
Yeah, Rabbit, shoot him.
Parker, I order you do not fire that weapon. Get your finger on that trigger.
Behavior like that looks like a court-martial offense to me, but it's just a scene that plays and is forgotten in a movie where self-contained thrills replace a larger story arc. The young skipper has been told he must be prepared to risk the lives of his men, and when the crunch comes, he's ready.
You can't reach it, and you will. And you're going to close that valve. I can't. Don't you go in, please, God.
U-571 has all the standard submarine scenes, including the one where the crew cringes as depth charges explode closer and closer.
Step away from that bulkhead, Mr. Hirsch. Shockwave from one of these explosions could snap your spine.
Chief, ever been depth charged?
What's weird is that those charges are evenly spaced, but then when they get real close, all of a sudden there were dozens of them, like a string of firecrackers. That's because the movie would rather rock the audience with surround sound than involve them in a realistic plot. U-571 is like a pale shadow of 2 submarine movies that were a whole lot better, Das Boot and The Hunt for Red October. This movie only wants to be an action thriller and doesn't even do a good job of recreating a convincing ocean in the big studio water tank. As for the history involved, well, it was a British ship that grabbed an Enigma machine from a German submarine, not an American sub, but who cares about history?
And Reuben Hurricane Carter was not on either one of these subs, right? Just if we're going to get historically accurate.
My feeling is if a movie works, I'll forgive it a lot.
Exactly.
I just threw that in as a little bonus for our viewers.
Yeah, and I'm with you on this one. I mean, I don't even know who half of these guys were on the submarine, and then they kill them off, and then some of them show up, and they're very sweaty all the time. And my favorite funny thing about this is when they think the German destroyer is getting close, they start whispering like this. Like in a golf tournament when the announcers are like 50 yards away and they don't want to disturb the putting.
You know, I have a question. Remember when they say, look, we're submarine sailors, we're not a Marine fighting force,
right?
We're not a boarding party, and the Marine who's on board says, I'll train you.
Yeah.
Well, of course, there are no training scenes.
No, but they got cool black leather jackets to wear.
I don't think I ever saw the Marine again either.
No, he got killed, I think.
Well,
that's
before
one
he
of the
did the training, right? You don't
there's
know.
There's too many people here. And Harvey Keitel is in there, and Matthew McConaughey, who I didn't really believe was very forceful. So people, when they disappear, we don't even care.
And then the scenes where the rubber rafts are going back and forth, you can tell that that's a backlot tank. And there's one scene where a particular character looks like he's about to drown, and I swear it looked to me like he was standing on the bottom of the tank. It didn't look like he was deep enough to really
He was
be
bending
drowning.
his knees. He was bending his knees. The subs were pretty cool, but you're right. None of this was believable, and we just didn't care about these people.
You got it.
All right, next movie. Our next movie is Love and Basketball. It's a savvy but warm-hearted sports romance about a young b-ball star and the complicated relationship he has with the girl who's literally next door. And you know what? This girl's got game, too. Omar Epps is hotshot point guard Quincy McCall, and Sana Lathan is Monica Wright, a talented but undisciplined star in her own right. Now here we see best friends Quincy and Monica recapping their senior prom dates.
A little after you left, I told Shawnee it was time to go and drove her straight home. And after she told me I was the dumbest brother in the world, I took off.
I was sitting in Jason's ride with him, and he was kissing on me and feeling on me, and it was really bugging me because I couldn't remember how many offensive boards I had in the championship.
As a USC freshman, Monica shines in practice, until her ego gets in the way.
Monica!
Well, you're so busy posing, your man just scored.
Now, Quincy's also at USC, and even when he and Monica aren't on the court, basketball is the catalyst for their relationship.
I score, you strip. You score, I drop something.
Give me the ball.
But Quincy's idyllic life is turned upside down when his father, a former NBA player, admits having affairs on the road.
There's 100 girls waiting down in that lobby. Listen to me. And there's 20 more that make it past security onto your floor. And the boldest one is right there at your front door. And after a while, man, it just becomes part of the game.
That's Dennis Haysbert as Quincy's father. He's one of the many terrific supporting roles in this family drama. But the primetime players in Love and Basketball are Epps, who I found smart and believable, and Sana Lathan, who is an absolute sensation. She's strong, she's lovely, and she's really the main reason I had such a crush on this movie. Love and Basketball has as many cliches as a Dick Vitale pregame show, but I still liked it a lot. I really liked it.
You know, what I liked about it the most is that it doesn't end with the final shot of the big game.
Right.
It's a sports movie that is not about how any particular game turns out. It's about playing the game.
Right.
It's about practicing for the game. It's trying to run your private life while being a top athlete, whether male or female. It's about sports rather than about how the game turns out, and that's fresh.
More compelling are the practice scenes. You don't usually see that. And this is probably the first movie that really looks at basketball from a woman player's point of view, not just, as I said, as a cheerleader or something like that.
An important point. Sana Lathan is terrific in this movie, and it really is her story. It's not like the basketball star and his girlfriend. It's about the basketball star and her boyfriend, and I really I like that.
And she can dribble between her legs and everything.
She sure can. Coming up later in the show, a campus rumor has serious consequences in gossip. And coming up next, Stanley Tucci, Ian Holm, and Susan Sarandon star in Joe Gould's Secret.
If you published oral history, you might become someone who people know.
Oh, is that what it's all about?
Where are you living now, Joe?
Oh, flop houses mostly.
Thought you were at the Maison.
Oh, no, I left it.
Why?
Number of reasons. But mostly, well, I just realized that I could not write a true account of the people of this city without being out and amongst them.
A Greenwich Village painter played by Susan Sarandon is one of many friends of a strange, brilliant, homeless man named Joe Gould, who claims to be writing a million-word oral history of New York. He's played by Ian Holm in Joe Gould's Secret, a quiet and haunting film that's about writer's block in more ways than one. Stanley Tucci directed this movie based on a real story and stars in it as Joseph Mitchell, who was a staff writer for The New Yorker and became fascinated by this colorful, charismatic, and frustrating street character.
And then all of a sudden, the idea for the oral history occurred to me. I would spend my life in the city, listening to people and writing down whatever I heard them say, no matter how boring or dull or idiotic or... Where the hell's our lunch?
Joe Gould became famous in Greenwich Village in the 30s and 40s. Here he crashes the meeting of a poetry society that isn't up to his standards.
My Religion by Joseph Feldman Gould. In the winter, I'm a Buddhist. In the summer, I'm a nudist!
Mitchell writes a New Yorker article about Gould, and readers send Joe donations to help him support himself and continue the oral history.
I could send you the letters at the Minetta, or I could bring them down there a couple of times a week, if that's what...
They don't like me then.
Tucci and Holm create an edgy rapport here. They're friends and rivals, but where exactly is the oral history, and will anyone ever read it?
The oral history is wrapped in oilcloth and stored in a cellar on a duck and chicken farm in Long Island.
The beautiful and sneaky thing about Joe Gould's Secret is the way it pretends to be about Joe Gould when the real secret is hidden in plain sight all along and belongs to Joseph Mitchell. In a subtle and understated way, the stories of the two writers are more similar than you might think. And in a scene near the end of the movie, Mitchell describes his own new book, and it sounds a lot like Gould's. They say it's impossible to make a good movie about writing because it's all interior and there's nothing to see except some guy writing, but Joe Gould's Secret shows us plenty if we know where to look.
Well, it may be possible to make a good movie about writing. I don't think this is the one. I thought Joe Gould's Secret was, he's not very interesting. I mean, when he does make his big appearances at these parties and he tells these poems, or he doesn't really intrigue me. I don't find him to be that interesting of a guy at all.
Joe Gould has one note, and Joe Gould is basically...
He's a bum.
He's a bum. Okay, the movie is about Joe Mitchell.
Well, it didn't seem that way
about
to me.
why
We saw
he's
an awful lot
interested
of
in
Ian
Joe
Holmes.
Gould and how Joe Gould influences him and how, in a way, he gets Joe Gould's disease.
But I don't see Mitchell changing. I don't see Stanley Tucci's character changing.
I do. I do. I really think it's a story about Joseph Mitchell, and I think that he's a very subtle and quiet and closed-in guy who's been beaten up on by his father, something Gould spots right away, and who is compensating with this entire act that he puts on at the New Yorker.
I don't know. It didn't work for me on any level like that.
Okay.
All right, coming up next, we've got beautiful people telling ugly stories in gossip.
Oh, hey, I had an idea for Goodwin's paper. I think we should start a rumor.
What you mean on purpose?
Yeah, why not? We're good at it.
Three devious but darn good-looking college students decide to spread a rumor in gossip, a juicy thriller that looks like an extended MTV video crossed with an episode of Matlock. Now, Lena Headey is Jones, a Jennifer Beals lookalike who's rooming with the handsome Derek, who's played by James Marsden, and they've got a sidekick named Travis, played by Norman Reedus. As part of a class project, these attractive nitwits trash the reputation of a beautiful socialite, and their rumor mushrooms into a wild campus legend within hours.
Apparently, she and Bo were up in one of the bedrooms having sex during the party.
I mean, I thought the one on her was like, no sex. Not that I judge that. I mean, a lot of girls are doing this whole chastity thing now. Fine. I just have to say I was surprised.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody heard within days after she got here that she wasn't putting out.
Kate Hudson is the poor little rich girl who begins to wonder if boyfriend Joshua Jackson really did take advantage of her.
Well, did you tell somebody that something happened?
Naomi, I don't need to lie about sex.
Well, then tell me. What happened?
Now, when the rumor leads to accusations of serious crime, Jones decides it's time to come clean.
We have to tell somebody. You and me. I can't do this alone.
Maybe it'll just blow over.
It's not gonna blow over.
Gossip lacks nutritional value, it's wildly implausible, but I still found it to be a campy hoot with a soundtrack that really rocks. Unlike The Skulls, another ridiculous college thriller featuring Joshua Jackson, Gossip has no aspirations to be taken seriously, so we're able to sit back and enjoy the music, the cool visuals, and these great-looking actors. I found this to be classic trash.
The only thing I disagree with is your theory that The Skulls was meant to be taken seriously. But apart from that, oddly enough, although I agree with your assessment of this film, I do not give it thumbs up, and I'll tell you why.
All right.
The ending, to me, was like a kick in the face. I thought it was just a cheap shot, a trick, basically, that really frustrated me as an audience member because I was so much involved in what appeared to be the story of the film.
That's only if you're taking the first part seriously, that you're going to be fooled by the ending or let down by the ending. I mean, the ending's just part of the game. I don't think this is a movie about let's have a really good, clever ending that's going to fool the audience.
If a movie is going to tell me a story, I'm going to sit there and more or less think that's the story it's going to tell me.
But you enjoyed 90% of this movie.
Well, I enjoyed it enough that I was really angered by the ending, and I felt that with a different ending, they would have had a pretty decent movie.
So people should just go to see it and leave at the 10-minute
Leave
mark.
3 minutes. Even the last 3 minutes is what you don't need to see. Okay. Next movie, and our next movie is a real sleeper named Pups. And this one had trouble finding distribution. It's still having trouble because it's about a kid with a gun. And in this post-Columbine period, more movies like this, and there might be less violence in high school, I believe, but that's a real complicated idea, and society is looking for quick fixes. The movie stars Cameron Van Hoy and Misha Barton in spontaneous, convincing performances. He's a kid who found his mother's gun, was walking to school with his girlfriend, and decided on the spur of the moment to stick up a bank. Now, he's in a hostage situation.
We play with guns. What are you surprised they want to play for?
Hey, we're not playing.
Yes, you are. You kids think you're playing a video game or something. It's not your fault.
Man, I know the difference.
What's interesting is that every hostage is a quirky individual with his or her own agenda. Burt Reynolds plays the FBI agent in charge, and the kid knows how to talk to him because he's seen stuff like this on TV.
I get anything I want, so you kill me or I get away.
I don't want to have to kill you, kid.
You don't have to kill me? Don't kid me, okay? I mean, you're killing yourself. What do you smoke for, huh? Everybody knows smoking gives you cancer, but you do it anyways.
The kids enjoy being the center of TV coverage and demand and get real-life MTV personality Kurt Loder for an interview.
You know, what do you like about him?
That he's not afraid of anything.
Stevie, what do you think of Rocky?
I mean, I love her. We're gonna get married on the internet.
You're in that chunky.
I mean, even though the average marriage only lasts 2 years in America.
Well, he'd be divorced by 15, be back on the market. It wouldn't be too bad.
See, Rocky and I, we're like swans, you know. We get one mate for life.
Those kids, of course, are in way over their heads, recycling lines they've heard on TV and trying not to really deal with the trouble they're in. Pups has some rough edges, and the Burt Reynolds dialogue is written all wrong. He's a troublemaker, not a negotiator. But the two young actors are free, natural, and convincing, and this movie is a scary and perceptive portrait of the way cliches of guns and violence have trickled down into the minds of children. It's strange that an anti-gun movie like this would be too controversial to get a wide release, while, of course, routine action movies can joyously glorify guns, and they can open everywhere. Anyone who thinks Pups is a bad influence just doesn't get it.
It's not a bad influence, but I disagree with you about the kids. I didn't think they were good at all.
Oh, really?
I saw them kind of looking off camera sometimes. And I mean, in a movie like this, if the child actors don't do the job like young Haley Joel Osment did in Sixth Sense, it doesn't work at all. And she's holding the gun like this, and they could just reach out and grab it from her. I never believed for a second that these two
kids... The kid in particular, the young kid, when he's looking around, it's because he's looking around, because there are cameras on him and there are people looking at him. What I like is that they have long stretches of dialogue here. It's not like one line and then cut away. They're on screen for 30 seconds, a minute at a time.
Which is why it didn't work for me.
And this kid is really wild. He's making it up. He's walked into this bank. Now he's a bank robber. He doesn't know what to do next, but he's very verbal, and I really felt that was infectious.
I thought he had one note. He screamed throughout the movie.
No, he doesn't.
I thought he did.
No, he has some little talks with his girlfriend. And
even then. Then it always escalates into a fight.
Okay, when we come back, my video pick of the week is one of the best movies that got overlooked last year.
Have you thought about getting a wife?
Yeah.
Roger Ebert in the Movies Video Pick of the Week is brought to you by Nestle Raisinets. At the movies or at home, Raisinets.
My video pick this week opened briefly last fall, hardly seeming to make a ripple. It's called Mumford, and in its quiet and gentle way, it has some useful things to say about human nature. It's also funny and entertaining. The name of the movie is Mumford. It's set in a town named Mumford, and it's about a psychologist named Mumford who turns up one day and starts really paying attention to people's problems. He's played by Lauren Dean.
I hope you don't think I want you to do this for free. Just because we're going to play it like we're friends doesn't mean I won't pay you like a doctor.
I understand.
I have a lot of money. You know how much money I've got?
Don't tell me, because I'm not going to tell you what I've got.
I've got 3 big ones.
I'm impressed. I couldn't make $3 million if I lived 3 lifetimes.
No. I have $3 billion.
That's Jason Lee as a guy embarrassed to go to a shrink's office. Mumford is encouraged in his practice by his landlady, played by Alfre Woodard, who thinks he has something, even if she doesn't know what.
What makes you so popular? What's your secret?
You like me. How come?
Disgruntled patient Martin Short goes to the 2 other local therapists, played by David Paymer and Jane Addams, who are resentful because this new guy is getting all the work.
A town this size has only so many head cases to go around.
Well, what exactly would you have us do, Lionel?
You protect your turf. You check this guy out. I smell a rat, I'm telling you.
Mumford was written and directed by Lawrence Kasdan, whose films include the powerful Grand Canyon as well as classics like Body Heat. What's his message? Well, maybe the people need to listen more closely and hear what folks are really saying. In its quiet and sneaky way, Mumford is the kind of movie that doesn't merely make you feel good, it makes you feel better. And it's my video pick of the week. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this week's show. 2 thumbs down for U-571, starring Matthew McConaughey. It's heavy on action, low on insight, shaky special effects. 2 thumbs up, though, for Love and Basketball, a sweet story with wonderful performances by Sana Lathan and Omar Epps. We split on Joel Gould's secret. I thought it was Joe Mitchell's secret, but it was a secret to Richard, why I liked it. We split again on Gossip. Richard liked it as a guilty pleasure. I thought the ending was like a kick in the face. And finally, another disagreement on Pups. I admired the performances of these 2 young bank robbers, but Richard thought the kids, as actors, were in over their heads.
So we're going with Love and Basketball here, although you like Gossip. I know you do.
I liked it to the degree and in the way that I liked it, but not enough to recommend it. My 2nd annual Overlook Film Festival plays next week at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. The website is ebertfest.com. You can hear our reviews, Richard and myself, at ebert-movies.com, part of Go Network. Next week, more new movies, including the supernatural thriller Frequency, starring Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel.
Something we did changed the past.
And also Where the Heart Is, starring Natalie Portman and Ashley Judd. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.